Because I didn't expect to pay so much for a haircut, like for a cheese crop. He was already cheese crop. He wasn't shaving dreadlocks off. He wasn't shaving with like proper. He was already cheese crop. He was just filing down. One little hair had grown, and because they wrapped him with a swaddling cloth, he paid $350 for a haircut. For cheese crop. And he was like, never again, yo. I know, never again. That story will never ever cause laughter in him again. This time he's just gonna be sad. He will be sad when he listens to the story coming from me, telling it the way that he told it to me at the time we were hosing ourselves. Stories because he was such a good storyteller, but now his stories are nothing. Now his stories are nothing. Now his stories just proper. 350 rand when he was expecting at most to part ways with $150, just a little bit extra, maybe 50 rand extra. Because Remo sent him. I know, 350 dog. 350 rand is only because of to keep it cheap. So he basically was like, so Mina, ever since that experience, yes, I sent him. I'm Sakunda anywhere else other than Ekasi, like proper. I just go tenting and I sit down, they shave my head, and then I part with 100 rands because get about tipia 40 randa. That's it. Like no more sentence. Like I'm saying, hey, I guess it's Jewish, I guess it's like especially, I guess it's fancy. I'm not gonna be fancy anymore. No more cutting my hair go sentence because it's the exact same thing. I'm not elimanzi herbs. I cannot but those are the kinds of things. And I gotta blow my nose. Sorry, those are the kinds of things that I appreciated about my boyfriend. It was just so incredibly comfortable to be now with a guy that was a guy. Like he was a man. He was a man. Before him, hey guys, I was dating a cake boy. I was dating a cake boy. Do you understand? I was dating a cake boy in the worst way. I was dating a gay dude. And when I dated my ex after him, I was like, yo, I'm okay. This is chill. Like this is the guy. Like in the hey, my ex-boyfriend only pokile first. I'm not gonna be what do you call this? I'm not gonna know who kuda, sorry, but he was like, I'm not gonna. I'll pay for you to go to a salon. He was like, I'll pay for you to go to a salon by kaka. If it all went out, you have to offer your own head. But don't expect me to sit here, and then one time at the mall, I was trying to get something or something just fell off the shelves of one of the stores. And I was like, my bag. He was like, hey, yo, mannequin. Wherever. I don't know. I can fetch a trolley if you want. I'm not gonna be carrying I'll be like proper. I'm not a simp. It's stuff like that. Like my ex-boyfriend, the gay guy. Walking around holding my purse. All these weird things and they happen. Spice I'll shebe the college into the fit abamukuta miriri abapata ways the 100 ranta. He was just not a man. So I was really chill in the next relationship, but it came with its own flames. I was with a dude this time around, the new dude so this gay dude that I was with only gave us some kind of PTSD. But I always was like, I would like to see how snadi I'd like to see. And he was like, yeah, sure. Hey, this guy, the way it wasn't even fully broken. He would mannerism just like me, etc. So, because I didn't want to be with a closet homosexual in Megan King, the one that I was with, I was always just looking out for a man. I had in my history as at that date, he was the second guy that I dated that I didn't like. He was the second guy that I dated that I didn't have any feelings for. And after him, I was like, what is wrong with you, Karabo? Like, stop dating guys you don't like. Because who uncomfortable mole. Hakuna happiness, hakuna joy. Hakuna letaba mo strateng mole. Kupanje fela otlogela guys was not the feelings for one, not just because you like being in relationships. That was the problem of my history. I could never not be in a relationship. I always had to be tolerant with someone, you know. And so that's why it got me that guy along shits and go the rock. I was too single to be happy. And so to be okay, if I make content, take a give single paint the town red, give a young woman on the come up, keep looking to not be with someone. So I was like, hey, and just cause of that you can tell who to gay in now. So when I was with this guy, I told this guy, oh, okay, mengeke I'll be right. Mengeke I'll be right. Lenzelena engifuna ngenkani. Dude, you are gay. I don't blame me with gay guys. This gay guy, I would never have cheated on him because it was my own little warped version of morality when I was in the world. I wasn't gonna let myself be that kind of girl that I'll just be sleeping with 2 guys at the same time. No. Mara, I was gonna be the kind of girl that gets out of a relationship yesterday and the day after tomorrow I'm in a new one. It literally happened just like that with a new guy that I was with. My 3 weeks, then I was with my new boyfriend. The relationship lasted 5 years. So thank God. As I'm waiting around in my cousin in a relationship for just waiting to heal from the old relationship. I moved on, so I was ready to just get out of that relationship and into a new one. So I had been on not two dates. I went on a date with one other guy during the time when I was dating him. I went out, Marakahana. I refused to make out with him, kiss him, or anything like that because I was still with that other dude. Trying to suss out if this guy is gonna stick, he's gonna sit, or what is he just trying to hit that? What's going on? And when then he showed me flames, when he showed me he's trying to hit it and quit it, I was like, yo, hey, I'm not gonna gay boyfriend to go high. My gay guy. I didn't cheat on him though. Well, maybe it was a form of cheating just by mere virtue of the fact that I went on a date with another guy. Yeah, Mara, because the other guy, as I were actor, right? The gay guy still was able to be maintained. But what I'm trying to get at is this guy that's got interest in men, that's likely also effeminate. Onang lebu kokete bo squint. O sa khona go tsamaya hantle street, onang le astigmatism. He's upside down and the wrong way out. Abu D, I don't bode well. Namatota that I'm not manly. I don't. Enough for me to have gone on a date with another guy during me dating some gay guy that was in the closet and very much in denial about his homosexuality. You are gay, you actually sleep with men. So you probably also have something going on gawena. That ex-boyfriend of mine that's just going to give away indaba yokuthi you're not 100% indoda. And so for those reasons, I wouldn't do it. Even if you were to come into my space. That's why where it is that I will finally walk down the aisle to you with all of your rap sheet. I was never ever gonna accept the proposal of my gay ex for another guy, to a point where I went on a date with another guy while I was with him. And the only reason why he was safe was because the other guy turned out to be a total jerk. So gay guys don't sit in my space. Like, I have always had a thing about bonna, like very pedantically. I've always had a thing about bonna bohetiki, and that's why Chiriana Yalona Yako YouTube will never win. Because she's a lesbian. Weekend's a lesbian, nekabo perversion. I will never convert over to lesbo because khalekerata bonna hure botileng. What's the nuances? Say feminine. I don't do guys with a feminine side. Yes, like it. No, I don't. Metrosexual? I don't even know what that is. I'm not that are gonna out to be painting their fingernails. Telling themselves, I am contemporary and I'm progressive. Oh, what's wrong with you? I'm a daughter that are out here going to be at the barber shop for 2 hours because they're putting shapes in their hair. Men like Mike Todd that have got like a man bun. That it's you need a man or the edges that are unrealistic to be the edges of a man. Not a man, but a person. To be unrealistic, the edges that look like an architectural blueprint. The way the tadi lueng, the square thing. Yo, Hashem, askisi abudi. Too much attention on such details tells me that you are just effeminate. You are effeminate. You are effeminate, and you are likely going to give me grief for having a hair out of place as a woman. You are going to give me grief for not being persnickety and in a bunch as a woman. I cannot in and of myself give it anti-dinyana as umfazi, because if you're that neat as a guy, I don't want an unhygienic guy, but I don't want a dude that doesn't even have one single crack in his wall, if you will. A man has to be rugged nyana, rough around the edges. Little bumps, little edges around a man. Manje into a neat nje, when so square and so neat and so put together that you probably don't even wear anything but his square front for a cartoon. That's how it's so wrong. Anyway, now that I've said that, I've gotten that out the way. a Mini Cooper that looked like about 26, 7 when I was like 21, 22. When I was dating a gay guy, right? So the issue here was not in his age. If anything, I wouldn't have minded being with a guy, especially because I'd never been with one before that's independent, that is doing well, that has his own apartment, that has his own car. Because I didn't think it guys, but with whom get comba. With whom I've been dating guys like those all along, so I was like, it would be a refreshing change to be with someone his own apartment, where it is that we're not gonna have to struggle to get down, because I get it, we were in the world fornicating and whatnot. So there was this one Oki ona dulanza stoppa koloi haichi like a Mini Cooper. Since I was a pedestrian, here yeah, shapas kontiri hure jaga hanen na ke le mo skontiring jwalo abuti o nana lo stop and just felt like trying to offer me a ride home, and then again he used to stay at the very entrance of the neighborhood circle. Like this neighborhood is like an island where I stay, and this island and so in order for you to get to the other side of the island you have to go all the way around the island. There's no going through the trees, and I stay on all the other side of the island from where the taxis drop you off, okay? But this guy stayed at the beginning of the island, at the entrance of the island. So frankly, he like when he's out just stopping trying to give you a ride, and he's getting out of his way to drop you off where you stay, even though he stays at the beginning of the island. So this guy used to stay at the beginning of the island. When I say this neighborhood, as in the batch of complexes are in the shape of like an island, right? And it's a very big island. Okay, big is like a very strong word, but for a pedestrian it's quite the walk. If you have a car, you ain't gonna feel it. And it's also like, you know, a very hilly, it's got lots of hills and what have you. Uphill. So frankly, because now I hate this walk. Mara, I used to make it a mission, because when you're young, walking, these buggers that be out just slowing their vehicles down. But slow it down. And lift in Jeffela because they're just great guys. They don't give you a lift in Jeffela just because they see that a young woman, oh, don't wear yourself out. I don't know why on the come up I did not take the flip-flops to walk from where the taxis dropped me off until I got home. I should have done that because I saw quite a few chicks doing it. So every sort of like proper in this neighborhood, it was just crazy. Toxic for myself, but I did it because nigga is strong. I'm gonna a talent gym. Anyway, whatever. So I never used to accept the lift because ever since I was a teenage girl, you don't get in nobody's car and not have that bugger out just be trying to get your number, because utwafa long drive when I get utwafa a distance, because umawako ushala at an impossible like location and afunu shiswa ilanga, so umaka to get taxi just that kilometer, maybe even 2 that you have to walk. Echo bora to a point where you're like, you're tempted to just grab a lift. But these guys, first of all, it's dangerous. They could actually just go away with you, human trafficking style. But for the larger majority, they will drop you if it's jardini. They will. Mara, not first before asking for your number. Not first before trying to call you. Not first before. And labantu, they're old, like visibly, babahulu, like, yeah. So I had as at that stage, my fair share of days where I was like, I'm too tired and the sun is blazing, and therefore then get in a strange car. I've done it. I had done it because my mom has always stayed at these impossible locations. Always bora I would say, I can't give you my number, and I would see a visible irritation, and I realized that I was putting my life in danger, so I just stopped getting in the weird guys' cars. Slow the vehicle down. But every so often, because you know, sometimes you find really great girls, and if anything, it happened even about a year ago recently, where I was walking back from spa and a woman, like a young woman, stopped and was like, do you need a lift to get to the rest of the house? I was almost gojarateng, and I was like, no thank you, but thanks, you know. Largely it's men that are out trying to type establishment thing, because number ya how. But every so often, and during those seasons of mine when I was wrecking through the terrain of trying to get home, there was the occasional woman that would stop her car and offer me a lift to get home, because and it's really far, and the sun was already setting because I was back from work. So a concerned woman would sometimes just let me get in their car and drive me back. And also there was this one girl that used to be my cousin's friend and also somewhat my friend that was married to a celebrity in this country that used to live in this neighborhood, and she would always give me a lift every time. She would see me walking up and down. She was my peer, like and she was now married. She married very young. And her husband bought her a car and everything, so she was able to give me a lift. So she was one of the women that always used to give me a lift if she were to see me. But there were also other ladies that did give me lifts when they saw me. But for the larger majority, the men that stopped to try and give me a lift, I wouldn't get in unless what I imagined to be looked like somebody that I could actually date. And largely, that's why I'm saying, hey, when guys get married, hey. I just want to sing. When men get married, I don't know what switches. On the come up, my friends that had boyfriends, that had cars, with whom they were in stable relationships. Where did you meet this guy? Because the majority of us were too serious. And so the one chick among us that was dating a dude that was our peer, that had a car, it was always like, where did you meet him? Because he's young, he's our age, frankly. And you're therefore always very comfortable. Pick up or drop off, and you don't have to worry about a lot the way that all of us as common boyfriend worry about. When you're that young and some people don't yet have cars, where do you meet these guys with cars that aren't so barely ever did anyone that was a peer that had his own vehicle and his own apartment. That's why as in guys, like my stories in different things. I don't know, because young guys that had their own cars and their own apartments, they never stopped to holler at me. They never. A guy that I could look in the car of, hey, do you need a lift? It's a dude that looks more about my peer and maybe either with his parents or he's got his own apartment, but it's the kind of boyfriend that finally no more comparing. Finally no more when we want to do things because abazali are not yet home or whatever. You know how people when they're young and don't have their own places by a hair or fornicate. I was always just like proper. Never ever met a guy that stopped his vehicle on some, okay, here's what looks like a cute chick from the back. Because they tend to basically suss you out to see if you're at all you're attractive. From the back, they could indeed see your face and then be like, yo, I am sorry, just go, but let me drive off. So just by seeing your walk and fella from the back, I'm gonna slow it down and be like, hey, do you need a lift? But that's the thing. Young guys, before they get married, they don't got that kind of thirst. They don't have that kind of, and they've got such active social lives that they tend to meet those girlfriends that I was like, where did you meet your boyfriend? They meet them out there in the wilderness. That's how I met the one Ole that was what do you call this? I was trying to leave my ex-boyfriend for him. Go partying. Never mind the partying, but pubs, joints, Melville, hangout joints, cool runnings. And so we all out here sitting, go restauranting, eating, or dancing, and then you see a cute chick, you exchange numbers, and then she finds out that you work at KPMG and you drive a small little Polo. And so you're like, oh, here I've hit a jackpot because my dude has his own apartment and he also has a car type establishment thing. Young guys, when they're yet to get married, when they're still searching the market, every walking girl, unless of course, stupid, ridiculous like that. Largely, young guys that are still viable in the market don't slow their vehicles down. For chicks in school uniform and for chicks, like I say, but very uncomfortable coming back from work at 6:30, 7 at night. Trying to get home real fast before the sun finally and officially sets. They don't slow their cars down out of just what is the thing that I'm looking for? The word chivalry. Just out of chivalry in Jefela. Just out of a spirit of chivalry. And they don't just stop and give a chick that is more or less their age or he's older than her by like 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, a ride to get home and then be like, okay, sharp, bye. If at all they're players, even when they're players, they know all these mini chicks, these chicken heads, I will always get them go partying. I will get them go Melville. Go Norwood. For some dancey joint, I'll find them on Fredman Drive. Listen, I'll find them go News Cafe. Go weekend, Saturday. I'll find the chick that that's going to be my next hit it and quit it. My next drive-by shooting. So, by the pedestrian, coming back home from work, because I get a hachwadawa and I have a certainty as to whether or not she's pretty, because for the larger majority, you tend to be driving in the direction that she's walking. I'll go shop by U-turn. So umana from the back, so ain't nobody trying to actually be taking a risk, stopping a vehicle, that you're not even sure if she's pretty. I get it if she's busy saying ayoba on a dance floor, mona, you think she's pretty and then you holler at her. So I never ever got hollered at, and hardly, in fact, no, never, otherwise I would have dated them. I never got hollered at by a young guy that made any kind of sense, that stopped his car to give me a lift home, and then I could comfortably give him my number because, yeah, sure, let's do this, right? That's wrong. No, never. It was always the married men. It was always the married men. It was always the married men. And you could tell that they were married because they were older. They were much older. It's highly unlikely, 33-year-old, 35-year-old. Highly unlikely that you live here in an apartment all by yourself before marriage. It might be true, but if at all you were a 33-year-old that was yet to get married, chances are you're not out here slowing your vehicle down trying to holler at some chick and taxi, because whoever it is that you are trying to be with, I get it, people before they get married, especially when they're young, they've got, like I said, very vibrant, active social lives. They've got other places to meet women, but married men are the thirsty ones that are just trying to hit it and quit it. And so if you just want to have sex and if you just want to have fun, if you just want to exploit the glory of a young woman, what she looks like on the face, and so far as her body is kind of seemly from the back, and what I wonder if at all she'll be willing to accommodate. And you also tend to know that too serious. I get a moto, so maybe she's going to be willing every so often. They tend to know that the ones are the ones that are going to be willing to accommodate a married man. Otherwise, that are kind of independent, are gonna be like, sorry, Mr. Miguel, I don't do married men. What happened? One of my rings, it's in Maharadi Riri, and it was so cute over there. Oh, there it is, get tots. Anyway, yeah. I don't, like I said, angazi ukuthi kwenzakalani amadoda amabachata, and into etsahalang, even though I can speak etsahalang, yanyonta itsriane, and I blame godlessness for all this activity right next to doing its rounds. Abafazi laba abajahisa amadoda ukuthi babachade, nijola for 7 years, akakachati. Next thing after 7 years, because your biological clock is ticking, abotloja samona. Next thing or getting married because already you've got 3 children, or getting married batong. And next thing, aguna godliness, segachadile. Now he feels trapped. So rafraf. Anyway, so I no dude that was age appropriate ever stopped the vehicle, and so me get in. The one ole that I was willing to leave my ex for, that was in the closet, I made him go Melville, go one of them, like, I don't know if it was Cool Runnings or what. My sister was there, my cousins, and this dude spotted me, and so I was like, okay, and I gave him my number. And it turned out that when we went on a date, the first date that we went to was actually really romantic. After that, he took me for granted because he found out my whole backstory, right? So when he met me at Melville, that's why I just want to sing. When I met him at Melville, he didn't know my backstory. He just thought I was a pretty girl. He just liked my face, I guess, my body, everything about me. But once he found out who I was, he wasn't trying to settle all up in there. He was actually looking for a girlfriend. Mara, I wasn't good enough for him. Why? Because I had to drop out of this university. So I was no longer a studying student. I was working a corporate job, but I was in the call center, right? A 9 to 5, and I was yet to even take myself back to school. It was my first year working. And I was working at Teleshore, and First for Women, yeah, that company, where it is that I was a claims consultant. And I was going to take myself to school the following year, back to school to study. So this dude frankly just kind of wrote me off as I'm not in his league. That's why I get it. As in black men, the women you married, you deserve them, because ever since we were all young and yet to get married, you had already made a determination that certain girls, you're not going to marry them. You're not going to date them. No, you're going to date them. You're going to hit that and quit that. Mara, you're not going to rest. You're not going to sit there. You insisted on making side chicks out of chicks that you imagined were not in your league, but then married ones that you've thought are appropriate for you, based on echelon and based on class. And then I had to drop out of this university, the degree that I was studying, because my mother was not paying my fees. And based on that and that only, I basically lost league in the eyes of this guy that I met that was 2 years older than me, 1982. I'm in 1984. So he was age appropriate. He was doing well. If I had not been made to drop out of school, I would have still been maintained as within his league. It makes sense. He was young enough for him to date a chick at university, and therefore also be able to foresee what this chick is going to be one day. If I was still a student at Wits, he might have been a very steady boyfriend. This guy obviously liked me. Like, he liked me a lot. And I would have been very happy with him, and he would have been very happy with me. Mara, he literally dropped the ball where I was concerned for no other reason. But, okay, so she's fly. I like her. Mara, what am I gonna do with a chick that is not who I am? I didn't want to tell stories. I just wanted to sing, and I'm still gonna sing whenever I can sing. Mara, I just want to tell the story a little minute so you can understand what's following me around. That's annoying me in Karamochela. Cheers. Whatever. I'm gonna tell you still the story of the guy with Mini Cooper. I meet him at not Norwood but Melville. It was one of them clubby joints, them dancey joints at Melville. I was there partying with, like, if this dude had just known the whole scope of my life, he wouldn't have walked out on me like that. I was there at the time my older sister was in the country. My sister was just like an academic learner. She studied overseas, and she was just a very high profile lady. And we were there with my sister's vehicle. My sister, I believe my cousin was also there. And my sister was at the time with some dude also from the US that was now staying in the country. Every so often, I would take care of my sister's apartment. My sister stayed in Morningside and Santon in this like cute little 1-bedroom apartment, very upmarket. So essentially, if this dude had been made to see the fullness of my whole entire life, he wouldn't have underestimated me so quickly. Instead, he underestimated me based on the present circumstances of my life and did not inquire very much more, because then he would have seen essentially the echelon of my entire family, and so therefore stopped underestimating me. But that's the thing. Why did he have to see the pedigree of my sister? Why did he have to see the pedigree even of my mom? Why would he have to see that in order to respect me? He underestimated me based on just my own stories and where I was at, without even taking into consideration that this woman comes from a certain kind of family. My mom was irresponsible with me, and that's why I was no longer at Wits University. But if at all, I was maintained in the same sort of kind of pedigree of my family in totality, so I don't look like a black sheep among them. Hashem, I'm pretty sure that within 2 years, that guy would have probably proposed marriage to me, because he evidently liked me, and quite a bit. Anyway, whatever. So I meet this dude, go thingy, from Melville. He was slightly shorter than me, but I didn't care. At the time, I used to date guys that were shorter than me. Mara, he was kind of, thickish. Really cute dude, yellow bone, freckles, like a really cute guy, right? Type establishment thing. And when we met, it was like kum kum poof, kum kum poof music. So he looks at me and he's like, hey, what's up? He talks to me and I talk to him back, and then we exchange numbers. We meet in a club, so clearly he likes himself dark girls, because in a club you can see when somebody's umonto or musweu. So I guess he was black and yellow, dark dindi. He liked himself. He just liked what I was, whatever. So it wasn't even about my skin tone, because I've been wreaked havoc in the life of based on Indabeguti. I wasn't yellow enough. Listen, dudes have passed me up for crazy reasons. Like the guy that I used to think was my future husband passed me up because, yes, I was losing everything, my career and whatnot, and the fact that I wasn't a yellow bone. Now today, anyway, whatever. That guy, that's not Tabaka complexion yaga. If anything, he chose me out of all the yellow bones I was there with, partying ungikete out of all the girls. So it was of no essence. My stature, my physical appearance was, for him, all systems go. And this guy was prepared. Unabata girlfriend. This guy wanted a relationship. He wanted to be comfortable with a woman. Unabata relationship. This guy, he was looking for a woman. And if at all it felt comfortable where it is, that he found one in this party scene, he might have even married her. Because he was very stable in terms of his career, even though he was quite young. He was like 24. Remember when I was dating this dude, I was like 21, 22. The gay guy, when I was dating him, I was 21, 22. This guy was 24 years old. So, like I said, one of those young, married young, and start making babies real fast. It would have been that. It would have been that. And it would have been a love marriage, which a lot of y'all are not in. You're not in love marriages. You're in marriages of convenience. You married women because of their clout, because she's an accountant, because she is this kind of thing, her family is this, her family is that, what? But there's no love. It's contracts that you enter into, and you think that they're going to give you clout, and you pass up love because it's coming in poor places. Because the woman that you do actually have feelings for, this guy I haven't wanted to speak about him because God keeps on resurfacing him to help me understand got all these idiots that are all up in my grill today. I'm still gonna tell you about the guy with the dreads. I don't know what is going on. Ngani nonke akanichata marle libadi rabishi, even from as early as if you marry in your 20s. It's already 20 starting. If you marry at 25, at 26, you that jerk. Dog, you that jerk. Yo, I spilled water on my bed. I'm probably not even gonna fall asleep any minute now. By the time that I'm done talking here, the sun will be rising a little bit and the water will be dry. And if it's not dry, I'll sleep far away on the other side until it gets dry. At least it's not Coca-Cola. Anyway, whatever. Righto, so this dude hollers at me. I give him my number. I feel very excited about the guy that I met tonight. Right? And lo and behold, he calls me like as soon as like the sun rises the next day. He calls me and we talk, and then as we're talking, we then indeed start exchanging details, right? We start talking like, so hey, yeah, no, it was nice seeing you. So yeah, tell me, like, what do you do? Like, yeah, conversations that you basically be having in order to establish to know someone, right? What do you do? Oh, I work at what you call this, at Teleshore, as a claims consultant. So basically I'm a call center agent. I see. And you? What do you do? I work at KPMG. I was an intern, but now I've been made permanent. I graduated honors at Wits University. Listen, this guy was, when they say somebody's birds of a feather flocking together, like as in a hand to glove fit, like perfect dude for me. We attended the same university, but I had to drop out for reasons that I was gonna explain to him. If at all, he'd just given us time to speak, right? He was a student at my university, so he had that cultural context. He did a BCom, which I would ultimately later on also do. We'd be able to relate on a lot, and I came from an academic family. And so too did he. Life experiences were very similar. And I'm listening to this dude and I'm like, okay, yeah, great. Like he's an okay guy. Like what's giving? He at that stage had his own little apartment. He was doing really well. Like he was there. He had his own little apartment and he also had his own car. He had a history where it is that he got into a really horrible car accident and he survived. So essentially the Lord spared him. But at the time I wasn't thinking like that because I wasn't born again yet. And guys, in the black community, I come from a history where it is that when a guy hollers at you, okay fine, you make a decision that you like each other and then he invites you to his house, right? He invites you go habo, and now where he stays with his parents, and then y'all just make out on a couch a whole bunch all the day long and then you go home. That was the dating scene that I was used to. I was not used to being wined and dined, essentially taken on a proper date, made to eat popcorn. Okay, there was one guy that did that for me, but I didn't like him again. Okay, 3 guys that I was with that I didn't like. That one I didn't last. I had to leave him eventually. Yeah, I did not know how being well treated. Remember, I have shared in one of my videos my cousin that I was on the come up with, that I was tight with, and how a horrible influence she was to me. And the guys that she used to hang out with, I ended up dating them, and nearly the hood rats. And now hood rats don't know how to treat a woman. They don't know how to treat a woman. For them, it's like, we're just gonna dive in. We're just gonna have sex. Do you understand? So they invite women to their parents' houses. Well, I can't really say apartments because I never dated anybody that had their own apartment. I never dated a guy that had his own car, own apartment, nothing. So they would take you to their parents' houses and you would sit on a couch, make out a whole bunch, and then he would try to hit that. That's the guys that I dated. Like proper. Did not take you out on lunches, did not take you out to the movies, to a point where I had no understanding of that kind of world where a woman would literally be dined. A man would actually put his best foot forward. He would tread very lightly around you. He would not insist on doing things that are just weird. But then I grew up and got to a point where I realized that I don't like that anymore. So when I got a little bit older, I was like, I guess I can know a guy that the first time that we meet, after meeting, go partying or whatever. Now why? Why doesn't he want to feed me? Like, feed me? Give me pizza. What's wrong with you? Give me a burger. Don't you see I deserve one? I deserve McDonald's at least. Take me to Milky Way, Roja Banana Split, nja. Listen, 4 times. Then maybe I can go ahead, no kilo bonore, so fire go, Nkhono's lounge ijwang. Maradona se kilo shapa. Head-on collision le sofa yang khonwa hao osong fit popcorn. Like what's going on over there? I've been put in weird places anyway because I started to demand being better treated, being essentially wined and dined, the tantamount of wining and dining when you're young and the dude in question is on a budget. So it's giving McDonald's. Before, I insisted on being taken to News Cafe. I was allowing myself to be smooshed on a couch on the first date before the dude even made me a toasted sandwich. Sometimes I would leave my boyfriend's house. Dog. Like, the guy didn't feed me. But guess what? He had my body. Yo. But I eventually woke up and smelled the coffee and realized I don't want this. So later on I would date better. Later on I would do better things. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, so this guy, however, was the first one to introduce me to the better thing. He was the first one to show me that a woman is supposed to be wined and dined. Wined and dined is such a heavy word. I'm not speaking out here guys that be able to, jet set you and take you to expensive restaurants. Like I said, the McDonald's is a date. You gonna make sure that I burp some pizza. At the end of the day, it doesn't have to be an elaborate restaurant, especially considering all of us are struggling to make any kind of money. This guy's in his first job in corporate, and I am working some dumb one where I'm living hand to mouth out here, paying some heavy fees back at Wits. So really, everybody's on a budget. Everybody is on a budget. So we don't gotta break no bank. The hot dog, even though I don't eat pork, I don't eat hot dogs. But you get my point. But we gotta feed me. Let me eat. Like like let's break bread, for crying out loud. And it doesn't matter what the bread is. Like our steers. Like please, it doesn't have to be meat company. We don't gotta be breaking bank. Marakopa on fair bedu. Imagine if you're not gonna feed my stomach and yet you're putting me in your bed. Yo dog, I'm the Nando's chicken then on that day, aren't I? Women be out letting themselves be weird stuff. So I mean, I'm not gonna feed my chicken. I'm not gonna feed the chicken that I'm gonna be eating, because I've already made it fit for the slaughter. I'm just gonna hit that and then take you home and then say I love you at the end of it all. And that is a relationship. That's a boyfriend. Ugh, whatever. This dude was the first one to essentially show me what in the world needs to be done. He was the first one to introduce me to a world of being fed. And because he introduced me to a world of being fed, I literally refused after him, even though it didn't last, to never be fed again. I was like, no man is ever gonna walk out of here with me, with my hand in his and everything, without feeding me. Never again. And you know what? I stuck to my guns, because the next guy fed me. He fed me. Anyway, yeah, whatever. So here it is that I was at, we met at Melville. I was expecting him to invite me to his apartment again, just like typical, right? Type establishment thing. No, you know what this guy did? I told him I work at Teleshore, the glass building there on Barry Herzog. That's where I work. The guy worked at KPMG, which is also not very far. In that general region, you will know KPMG, LA, opposite Wits University. That's also not far from PricewaterhouseCoopers. Is it PricewaterhouseCoopers? Yeah, anyway, whatever. There's a KPMG in Braamfontein. Y'all know that. There's a KPMG in Braamfontein. He worked there. And I worked at the glass building. And this guy drove like a Polo, like some vehicle, right? And he was from KwaZulu-Natal. He was from KZN. So he studied at Wits University. And after that, he got a job. So he never had to go back home. Type establishment thing. So his number plates were ND, type establishment thing. So here in lies this dude from KZN. The time when he nearly died was Hona go KwaZulu, where he hit a tree and nearly died. But then he survived, like without a scratch. My prayer is that the Lord saved him, to basically evidence to him what was going on over there. Why did I spare you from where your vehicle was crumpled up like paper, and you came out like with just a scratch? I hope that was because the Lord was basically sparing his life for a future redemption. Anyway, I don't know what he has ever since done. That guy's never bewitched me, so I don't really have too much beef with him, other than the fact that you try to use me. Mara, this guy is an example, a metaphor of why it is that Lamatota do all these weird things. Why they become such man whores. Like why they become such monstrosities. Yeah, all I can say and all I can account this activity to, all I can lend it over to, is the fact that you're so classist. You're so classist. And the way that you think about romance is just so warped that you cannot marry women that you love. If at all, they don't make any kind of socioeconomic sense for at least you, or what you think is your clout. Me and spilling all this water everywhere, not a drop to drink. Anyhow, I don't know why I'm so clumsy. I'm dizzy, I'm wobbly legged, I'm wobbly handed. Anyway, dude from KPMG, or dude from KZN that now works at KPMG, lives in Norwood. He stayed in Norwood, right? When I look on Norwood, why did he choose to live in Norwood? Okay, he stayed in Norwood, and he, I believe, had a roommate, but the roommate was not there that day. This guy. Hey, anyway, whatever. Honestly, it was like KPMG. KPMG was not very far from where it is that I worked, Teleshore. It wasn't a walking distance during lunch. But if you had a car, then I guess you were good. This guy calls me, and I get we were dancing party that weekend. So it's now Monday. We spoke over the weekend, right? I found out, I guess maybe like it was Saturday when I met him. Sunday he called me, didn't waste time. And then he asked me, so where do you work? What do you do? I then let him know. We exchanged enough details. I found out that he's 24, I'm 22, blah, blah. What. Of course, I didn't tell him I had a boyfriend. I didn't. I had a girlfriend. It was a gay guy, so yeah. already. So he's like, oh, you where it is that you work, I know that building on Berry Herzog. It's not very far from where it is that I work, so I'd like to see you. And when he suggested what we're gonna do, I was so pleasantly surprised, because he did not immediately just jump into, I'm trying to like have sex. He did not invite me to his place, nothing, no. This guy was like, okay, I work at KPMG, you work at Teleshore, it's not very far. There's this like really great joint that sells wraps. He was like, there's the small little, like, you know, these guys ice creamy that make burgers from like a mobile like kitchen, like they be selling falafels and shawarmas, and it's like, it's a mobile kitchen, like the guy, it's a truck, and he just like parks at like a random place. And you know how, you know, the culture of Melville, y'all know the culture of Melville. It's very colorful, it's very creative, and so every so often you have just these like beautiful things. So this dude was like, there is this joint that makes these like delicious wraps. Look at this guy trying to feed me, like, oh my goodness, there are men that feed women in these streets. They be out there like buying your food for real, like, yeah, what happens? Anyway, whatever. So this dude is like, there's this joint, this mobile truck, erekisangdi falafel or the wrap, and I just like, they're divine, they're delicious. They're really great, and it's in Melville. It's not far from where I work. It's not far from where I work. I just want you to, I want you to taste these like really great like wraps type establishment thing. Go, I liked him, I really did, and he liked me too. I really like this guy. Anyway, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna buy you. No, not buy you. He's like, yeah, they. Oh, so you work here, I work there, cool. Oh, there is like this joint, right? I'd like to see you. There's like this joint that sells these like delicious wraps. It's a mobile truck. I go there every so often with my colleagues. Maybe we should like, you know, go there and just like have lunch, basically out of my out of my car, or chilling on the pavement or whatever, just outside of the car after having purchased those things. It was such a simple, cute, quaint date, and it was during my lunch hour, and he was like, okay, I know that you work. Listen, I told him that I work at a call center, and the first time he found out I worked at a call center, he didn't underestimate me. He liked me enough and was like, oh, okay, because I know that you guys, when you work at call centers, you tend to be on like very strict schedules. I'm the one that can get out at whatever time I want to get out, so just let me know what time you're on lunch tomorrow, and then I will come and pick you up. Again, I never dated a guy with a car before, so he picked me up. He was like, I'll come and pick you up from where you work, and then we'll drive to this like mobile van that sells these falafels, and you're gonna get to taste it. You said that you don't eat red meat, because we had a bit of a conversation about who I am. He was like, you said you don't eat red meat, don't worry, there's like chicken falafels there and seafood, so you're gonna really love it. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I'm looking forward to it, yeah. And then this guy picks me up, indeed, you know, parks his vehicle just outside of that tall tower. And I get out of the building, and I get in his vehicle. We drive to Melville, which is not very far from where it is that we were at Berry Herzog. And then indeed, here's this food truck, and we bought these falafels, and we sat on the pavement, like, as in his vehicle was parked. It was like some parky joint in Melville, like some parky as in like it's park like you know, a park where people swing on. Yeah, we were sitting opposite his no, actually, where did we eat the food? I think it was close to where I worked, but he found a place to park where it is that I guess like he wasn't hazarding or behind anybody. It was kind of comfortable. He wasn't so much worried about the clock because he wasn't working in a call center, right? He was on an accountant track, a CA track, so proper. He got like more leg room than me, who is on a call center. I was on a call center, not budget. What I wanted to say is clock. You know how they're so pedantic. If you're off by 1 minute, go call center, it goes on your like record and blah blah blah. I was the one here, and he was considerate enough to essentially make sure that I get back into the office type thing. And we sat more pavementing on the pavement, eating these things, you know, these falafels type establishment thing, and we had a conversation, and it was just such a nice conversation. And I remember looking at him. I get it the first time that I met him, it was in the club, it was all dark. Now it was in the day, and I could see him, and I was like, he's actually really cute. Wow, like, yo, right? I get I told you that he was like, he had these freckles over here. He was just a really cute dude, whatever, and he had these like hazel eyes. Yeah, he was just a really cute dude, and he just kept looking at me, and like, you know, this guy, it was just enamored type establishment thing. We sit there, we eat, and then at the end of that date, we leave. He drops me off from 17, and then I go back to the office, right? And then later that evening, wangfonela on some, I was happy to see you today, blah blah. This dude kept on calling me pretty much the rest of that week. Okay, he kept on calling me the rest of it, and I was excited about him, but I had this like gay boyfriend, and I was prepared to leave my boyfriend for him. I was prepared to leave my boyfriend for him. So after he took me on a date, I was like, this is a proper boyfriend. Like, this dude is a proper boyfriend. But I could also tell that he was breaking away from me as the week progressed, as I kept on telling him more and more about my life and whatnot. And I think this dude just made a decision that I can't make this chick too much of anything serious, because what am I gonna do with her? I'm gonna see a track. I'm gonna become a chartered accountant one day. She's working at the call center. Muntu made a decision that was classist about me. But after all, he did find me attractive. He thought I was beautiful. And even though we'd had conversations, and even though he knew that I was smart somewhat, he was like, not good enough for me. You're not gonna make any kind of sense. I remember later on, once my career took off and I was in corporate South Africa, saying, let's say his name was, I almost use his actual name. Sometimes I use people's actual names and pretend that it's a makeshift name because it's so hard to innovate one. But there's too many details that would here that I've given about him that would then sort of kind of expose who he is. So let me come up with another one. Spusiso, yeah, Spusiso. Let's say his name was Spusiso, right? When I was in corporate South Africa, since I a high roller now, after finishing my degree and whatnot, I was like, if Spusiso were to see me today, he would regret passing me up all those years ago. Because I'm pretty sure he was like, because I'm pretty sure that he was en route falling in love, but he made a decision to basically just kind of snuff out his own feelings. He blew out his own flame. This dude, what's the word that I am looking for? He snuffed out his own flame. Like, whatever it is that was burning in his heart for me, he snuffed it out and let me go for no other reason than the fact that I was not in what he imagined to be his league. After all, was he not the intern turned permanent that was out here recruited at KPMG, the academic, the one that was one day going to be a big fat chunky haughty chartered accountant? I'm pretty sure today he is married because he would never date a woman that was his heart, only one that he wanted the bread butter on both sides and have his cake and eat it too. Wait, in other words, I better really love you when you're in my league now, because you can't be a garabo. You can't be a garabo. You understand what I'm saying? And then expect me to marry you. Like, I'm not running with my heart. I'm running with who are you and what are you going to mean for me in the future? He ended up disrespecting the living daylights out of me, and I'm getting to that jerk status of his. Listen, I'm getting there. Cheers. This time I did not spill any water, so I'm not quaking like a thunderstrike anymore. So here it is, that then I'm like, okay, this guy's the real deal. Next time maybe he's gonna take me to a restaurant. Next time maybe we're gonna go to the park and jump on some trampolines. He's showing me some pretty intriguing, like cute, like adorable dating lifestyles. This is how a date is supposed to be. You feed a lady and you show her town. You show her your favorite van where they sell the best falafels. You show her where it is that you work out and how it is that this is the baddest gym in the street. You show her your favorite little cinemas. You show her little arts and culture places that she don't know. You show her stuff. And then only you take her to your apartment when you're in the world. Of course, when you are in Christ. We don't have to be fornicating, neither getting anywhere close to that. But I'm trying to help you understand and all these randos that all your women are married to that are wreaking havoc in my life today are wreaking havoc because they made all those errors all those years ago. And you as women are also so shallow that some of them and if it all precisely because he is a chartered accountant. Because you did not, women need love, and you did not marry a dude because he showed you any kind of respect. Because he makes for proper clout. And so because he was apparently allegedly clout heavy, because he was clout beefy, busy one king with the dude, because girl, I am so surprised to see the young fine woman that you grew up to be. Your body's banging like a 300 degrees, even your attitude. I know I am confabulating those lyrics, but you get my point, right? He out there be able to be saying la 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 la. You can relate on the same, when we started dating, it was not far from the days of Maya. Same music, same university, same things we can be able to relate with, same geographial locations that we frequented, same places where we all got drunk on campus. We knew that lifestyle early at the students. Him and I were going to be able to, proper. Talk about everything and anything, all the way up until we died. No, kodwa le ndoda lena yangipasa up. I wanted a stable relationship, Nami, just like him. Listen, we were on the same level. I wanted to be stable where I was at, just like he. Megafuni girlfriend, megafuni yobloma. He wanted to rest, nabata somewhere where he could just sleep. And he found her in a club. Wangi identifier. And wana kotla ponya thing, go boof boof boom boom. The next day, when we then started talking, he was like, yeah, I could rest here. And then Raloja. And after that date, I was like, this is a guy, this is a man, this is a dude, this is a guy, this is all these others. I can see they just wanted to have sex. This is the kind of man that he was gonna make me feel safe. He was gonna give me rest. And he is willing to go all out where I'm concerned. Plus, I get a call same thing. So I was broke like a leg. He was going to show me provision. I'd never been provided for by a guy before in my life in a way that makes any kind of sense. So he was gonna take care of me in the sense that I would probably probably, especially considering we worked in close proximity to each other, I would have stopped using taxis every day. There was a chick that I worked with on Shore. There was I could say she was my friend, but she wasn't really as close to me as she was to the girl that was my friend. And she had a boyfriend or Namolata every day. I'm a dropper who's saying, and he had his own job. So probably because they worked in the same geographical location, or he was willing to wake up like a chicken, drop off the chick, go all the way to work, and then pick her up. She ended up falling pregnant, having his baby, whatever. You know, people in the world out here, they do things inside out, right way up, wrong way up. It was before they got married, Mara. I remember just looking at her and her relationship and being like, where do you meet these guys that are like peers, our age, that are willing to pick you up in Sebenzini, drop you off, and make sure Uguti, you're not gonna be, how to palamadi takes, no more pre-girl. You know, all my struggles in life.